We transition into chapter 5 here. Recall chapter 4 was all about graphing linear equations. We looked at three different methods. We looked at y equals mx plus b. We looked at just creating an xy chart. And we also looked at graphing using intercepts. In the first two sections here, we're going to build on the idea of writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. Again, a form that you're already familiar with from last chapter. So what you'll notice about the relationship between chapters 4 and 5 is that chapter 4 focused primarily on graphing equations. In chapter 5, we're going to focus on writing equations. Okay, so the first example here says write an equation with the given slope and y-intercept. Again, we want to write it in slope-intercept form. Okay, so if we're going to write this thing in slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b. So y equals, remember, m is your slope, so 8x plus your y-intercept, negative 5. Now, if you want to rewrite this as y equals 8x minus 5, that's fine too. Makes it look a little bit nicer. Same idea in part B, right? Slope and y-intercept, so y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. So in these two sections, you got to be asking yourself, if I'm going to write an equation in slope-intercept form, I need slope, I need y-intercept. Once I know those two things, then I can write the equation of my line. Okay, so example 1, we gave you the slope. Example 2, there's a little bit of legwork because you have to find the slope and the y-intercept. Now, if you look at the first graph here, you can easily see the y-intercept, right? It's where it crosses the y-axis is right there. So without much work, you know the y-intercept is 4. Again, without much more work, you can find the slope. Again, you go from 0, 4 down to here. You could use your formula or you just count. You go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So down 6, right 3. So down 6, right 3 is negative 2. And so now when I write my equation, it's y equals negative 2x plus 4. Again, if you had preferred to do your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, that's fine. All right. I encourage you to try part B on your own right now. Pause the video and then just continue playing the video when you're done just to check your answer for correctness. Okay, so again, I look at the graph and I see the y-intercept right away is negative 6. And I know I can find the slope pretty quickly by going from this point. I go up 1, 2, 3, and then right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So up 3 is positive, right 5 is positive. So my final equation, y equals mx plus b. And personally, I like to rewrite this so it looks a little bit nicer. So I'd write it as 3 over 5x minus 6. Okay. It says write an equation for the line that passes through the point negative 2, 5 and has a slope of 3. So understand what they give you. They already give you m. Okay, so they give you y equals 3x plus b. So now I know my task right now is really to find the y-intercept. Okay, now here's the other thing. They don't give you anything else for the y-intercept, but they do tell you, hey, here's an x and here's a y that lies on this line. Okay, so I know that x equals negative 2 and I know that y equals 5. And so now what I can do is I can plug those in for x and y into this equation. And what that'll do is isolate b and allow me to solve for my y-intercept. Okay, so I plug in 5 for y, I plug in negative 2 for x, and I'm solving for b now. Again, understand the question is, or the task is write an equation. So solving for b is not my task, but it is part of what I have to do in order to write the equation. So as I go through here and I begin simplifying, I get 5 equals negative 6 plus b. Okay, and again, just use the skills that we've already talked about. Add your 6 to both sides, so those guys cancel. And so you find that your y-intercept is positive 11. And so now, again, I needed two things to write this equation. I needed slope, which they gave me up here. And I needed y-intercept, which is what I just found. And so finally I can write the equation of my line by saying y equals mx plus b. Okay, so again, clearly a lot more work involved there, but still something that obviously you should be okay to do. So again, at this time, I would encourage you to try this example on your own. Okay, use the previous example as kind of a template. Follow along with that one if you need to, and then utilize this video just to check to make sure you know what you're doing. Okay, so as soon as I see this, I know I can plug that in for m. So 5 over 2x, and then I don't know my y-intercept. I got to find it. They give me an x and a y, and so I'm going to plug those in accordingly. So I get -1 equals 5 over 2 times 2 plus b. Okay, well this is really 2 over 1, and so when I multiply, I get -1 equals 5 times 2 is 10 over 2 times 1 is 2 plus b. Well, we know this is just 5. So now I know I got to subtract 5 from both sides, and so that tells me that my y-intercept is actually -6. And so now I just go back and I use my slope and I use my y-intercept to write my equation. Y equals 5 over 2x minus 6. Or plus -6. It's all the same stuff. Okay. Okay, write the equation line that passes through the given points. All right. So again, this is one where I don't give you a graph, so it's not as straightforward. But I can find the slope pretty easily. Okay. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 plus plus. So it's positive 3 over 2. The y-intercept here. The good news is, and if you recognize this, you know that this is my y-intercept because the x value is 0. If you didn't know that, then what you'd have to do is you'd have to say y equals 3 over 2x plus b. Plug this guy in for x. Plug that guy in for y and solve for your y-intercept. Okay. Again, that'll take more time, obviously, but it's still a method that will legitimately work. So your y-intercept here is positive 3. And so your final equation is y equals mx plus b. Okay. Y equals mx plus b. All right, part B. Again, this is one where you're going to have to do a little bit more work because it's not clear based on my graph what my y-intercept is. However, based on my graph, I can find the slope. To go from this point to this point, I have to rise up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right 1, 2, 3. So up 6, right 3. So my slope is positive 2. Okay, so I know my equation is going to look something like this. Y equals 2x plus my y-intercept plus b. And now you have a choice. You can choose either one of these points that they gave you. I'll use this one. I'm going to plug that in for x and y. So I get 3 equals 2 times -2 plus b. So this is really 3 equals -4 plus b. Add your 4 to both sides. And so your y-intercept is 7. Once I have my slope and my y-intercept, my work is done. Y equals 2x plus 7. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, it says write an equation for the linear function f with the given values. F of 0 is 4 and f of 2 is 12. The given points are blank and blank. In other words, this goes back to last chapter. Okay, remember when you plugged in 0, you got out 4. So one point is 0, 4. Okay, and the other point when you plugged in 2, you got out 12. So that's 2 comma 12. All right, and so now again, I would pause the video at this point, and you're writing the equation of this line. Okay, so again, if I'm writing the equation of the line, I know immediately I need two things. I need slope, I need y-intercept. Find those two things, and your work is done. Slope, again, just use your formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 12 minus 4 is 8. 2 minus 0 is 2. 8 over 2 is 4. Okay. For the y-intercept, well, I know I have y equals 4x plus b. Okay. Again, if you are sharp enough and you see this, well, then you know this guy immediately is your y-intercept. The x-coordinate is 0, y-coordinate is 4, so the y-intercept has to be 4. All right. If you did not see that, well, then your only option is to plug this guy in for x, plug that one in for y, or you could have used this other coordinate. It doesn't matter. And you would have still gotten the y-intercept to be 4, but you would have had to have done more work. Okay, and so finally my equation here is y equals 4x plus 4. All right. Part B, again, pause the video, write the equation on your own, and then use the video to verify. Okay, so I know my 2 points are 0, 7 and 3, 0. Okay, so immediately I know that this is my y-intercept. I could find my slope. My slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's negative 7 over positive 3. So my equation is just y equals negative 7 over 3x plus 7. Okay. If you had gone forward, okay, and you plugged one of these in for x and y, you still should have the same equation. It would just take you a little bit longer, that's all. Okay, example 7 says, an electronics store charges a membership fee of $20. Once you are a member, you can purchase used video games for $12.99 a piece. Write an equation that gives the total cost C to become a member and buy G games. Okay, so the total cost C equals membership fee of $20. So there's $20 up front, plus you gotta pay $12.99 per game. In part B, it says, what is the cost for the year if you purchase 18 games? Well, again, this 18 represents the number of games, so you plug that guy in for G. All right, so the total cost equals $20 plus $12.99 times 18 games. Okay, and so when I do that, let's see here, I get $12.99 times 18 plus 20. If my math is correct, it's going to be $253.82 for the year. Okay, so again, just kind of a story problem that we've done in the past, okay, just taking words and interpreting it and translating it into an equation. So that wraps up sections 5.1 and 5.2. As always, any questions that you might have or anything that may be kind of in limbo, bring those issues and ideas to class, and we'll be sure to address those and get your questions answered.